Fans in tears, Tan Songyun's panic attack before her baby shower. She had been glowing. At least, that was what everyone saw. In the carefully taken maternity photos, in the brief interview clips, in the soft way she leaned into Shu Kai's shoulder whenever the cameras caught them out on a quiet walk. She had looked like a woman wrapped in peace and preparing to welcome life. But behind the doors of their home, behind the carefully folded baby clothes and the painted pastel walls, something inside Tan Songyun was beginning to crack. It started small. A moment of silence that lasted too long. A breath that didn't feel deep enough. The sound of her own heartbeat echoing in her ears when she lay awake at night. She brushed it off, at first. The doctors had said anxiety after trauma was normal. She had just survived a car crash while carrying life inside her. It was natural to feel shaken. But Tan knew it was more than that. Something inside her had begun to spiral. The baby shower was meant to be a small gathering. No cameras. No tabloids. Just family. Close friends. Laughter. Love. Shu Kai had planned most of it himself. He had invited Bai Lu, Dylan Wang, Leo Wu, and a handful of people who had stood by them in silence when the noise got too loud. He made sure the decorations were subtle and calming. He asked the florist to bring nothing too fragrant so Tan would not feel overwhelmed. He cooked half the food himself. Everything was set to be perfect. And maybe that was the problem. Perfection was never real. And trying to hold it up when everything inside you was collapsing only made the fall worse. The night before the shower, Tan sat in the nursery, staring at the crib. She had done this many nights before. But this time, the room felt unfamiliar. Her heart began to race. Her palms began to sweat. She could feel her throat tightening. Her breath shortening. She stood up too quickly and stumbled toward the door. Shu Kai found her in the hallway, clutching her stomach, her face pale. "What is it?" he said, panic rising in his voice. "I can't breathe," she whispered. He wrapped his arms around her instantly, guiding her to sit, trying to stay calm. "It's okay," he said. "I'm here. You're okay." But her eyes were wide. And filled with tears. "I don't feel safe," she said. "I don't know why. I'm home. I'm with you. Everything is ready. But I feel like something terrible is going to happen." Shu Kai tried to hide his own fear. He had never seen her like this. Not even in the hospital. This was different. This was deeper. "Talk to me," he said gently. "Tell me what you're feeling." She buried her face in her hands. "I feel like I'm failing," she said. "Like I'm not strong enough to do this. Like I'm pretending to be calm and happy when inside I'm falling apart." He knelt in front of her, hands steady. "You're not failing," he said. "You're carrying our child while carrying everything we've been through. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human." "But I'm scared all the time," she said, voice trembling. "Every sound outside makes me jump. Every message online makes me think something bad is coming. I don't even know if I can face everyone tomorrow." "You don't have to," he said. "We can cancel. Or postpone. Or just sit in the nursery and breathe. You don't owe anyone anything." She shook her head. "I want to celebrate our baby. I want to laugh with our friends. But I don't know if I can." He nodded slowly. "Then let's take it one moment at a time." He helped her to bed and lay beside her until she finally drifted off, her breath deep and slow. But he didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, replaying her words again and again. The next morning, he made a decision. The guests arrived that afternoon. The house was quiet but warm. There were pastel balloons and soft music playing in the background. The scent of vanilla filled the air. But when Bai Lu asked where Tan was, Shu Kai simply smiled and said, "She's resting. I want to ask something from all of you." He stood in front of the small group, his voice calm but clear. "Today is not about photos or perfection," he said. "It's not about cake or decorations. It's about showing someone we love that she is not alone. She doesn't need to be perfect. She just needs to be seen. And held. And reminded that being scared does not mean being weak." They all nodded. No one asked questions. They understood. Upstairs, Tan sat in front of the mirror. She had tried to do her makeup twice. Each time, her hands shook. She kept hearing voices in her head. Whispers from reporters. Online comments. Questions about her body. Her silence. Her worth. She stood up, unsure if she would go down. And that was when she heard it. A sound from the garden. Voices. Singing. She walked to the window and pulled back the curtain. There they were. All of them. Standing outside, holding candles. Singing a lullaby. By Lou. Dylan. Leo. Shu Kai. Singing not to be heard, but to be felt. She opened the window, tears falling freely now. Shu Kai looked up and smiled. No pressure, he called out softly. Just love. She laughed. A real laugh. Shaky, but true. She came downstairs slowly. Her heart still raced, but her breath was steady. She walked into the garden and everyone clapped, but not too loud. They wrapped her in warmth. No questions. No expectations. Just joy. She looked at Shu Kai and mouthed thank you. He mouthed back always. The rest of the afternoon felt like a dream. They shared stories. Played games. Wrote letters to the baby to be opened on their 18th birthday. Ate strawberry cake and toasted to survival. At one point, Tan stood up. I need to say something, she said. Everyone fell silent. I had a panic attack last night, she said. I didn't know if I could do this. I didn't know if I could even walk into this room. But then I saw you. All of you. And I remembered that I don't have to carry this alone. Tears filled many eyes. You reminded me that even when I am not okay, I am still loved. And that is something I will never forget. That night, after everyone left, Shu Kai and Tan sat on the couch surrounded by gifts and notes and memories. I'm proud of you, he said. She leaned into him. I'm proud of us. A few days later, someone uploaded a fan-edited video. Clips from the baby shower. Tan laughing. Shu Kai smiling. The candlelight. The lullaby. Set to soft music. It went viral within hours. The caption read, "She showed up scared. And still chose love. That's the strongest thing a person can do." Messages poured in. You're not alone. We've all been there. Thank you for showing us it's okay to not be okay. We love you. And somehow, that meant more than any trophy. More than any headline. Because in a world where celebrities are expected to be untouchable, Tan Songyun had stood up and said, I'm not. And instead of falling, she rose. Not by pretending, but by letting herself be held. And in doing so, she gave others permission to do the same. The night we almost gave up Shu Kai and Tan Songyun's darkest hour before delivery. The baby shower was over. The candles had melted down. The gifts were stacked in the nursery, waiting to be opened. The fans had cried, praised, and moved on. But something in Shu Kai and Tan Songyun's home had shifted. Love still lived there. So did hope. But so did fear. And that fear chose the worst night to rise again. It started with a phone call. Shu Kai had just stepped into the hallway, answering a late-night call from the producers of his paused drama project. He spoke briefly, his voice low, his eyes tired. When he hung up, Tan Songyun was sitting on the edge of the bed, hands resting on her belly. Was that about the series? She asked softly. He nodded. They want to restart filming early. Just a few weeks after the baby is due. Her face shifted. That's not possible, she said. He sighed. I know. But they're offering to rework the script, to shoot around me. Shu Kai, she said slowly, you said you would stay. He nodded again, but the silence that followed stretched too long. That silence was the crack. I said I'd try, he replied quietly. She blinked. Try. I'm scared too, he confessed. About becoming a father. About doing it right. I want to protect us. And work helps me breathe. Tan stood up. Work helps you breathe. And I'm here struggling to breathe every night. And you want to go back to a set. I'm not leaving, he said. I just need space to think. To figure it out. Her voice broke. We already figured it out. Together. And now that it's hard again, you're running? I'm not running, he said. I'm drowning. For a second, the room went still. Then she whispered, then say that. Don't pretend this is about scripts. Say you're scared. Say you feel like you're failing. He looked at her, and in his silence, she saw the truth. I don't know if I'm enough, he finally said. For you. For the baby. For any of it. Tears slipped down her face, not because she was angry, but because she understood. I don't know either, she said. But I keep showing up. And I need you to show up too. Not as a celebrity. As the man I chose. That night, Shukai slept on the couch. Not because she asked him to, but because he could not face the sound of her quiet crying. The next morning, he left the house without a word. For 5 hours, she heard nothing. No message. No call. Her anxiety swelled again. She pressed her hands to her belly, whispered promises to the baby, and tried to stay calm. Then the door opened. He walked in holding something. A notebook. He walked to her slowly. I found this in my old drawer, he said. It's the journal I started after our first fight, the one where we almost broke up. He handed it to her. She flipped through the pages. Page after page of letters he never sent. I wrote to you, he said. Every time I was too afraid to say something. I wrote. Because I didn't know how to be honest out loud. Her hands trembled. Then she opened to a recent page. If I lose her again, it'll be because I didn't learn how to stay. Not just physically. Emotionally. He stepped closer. I'm scared, yes, he said. But I don't want to leave. I want to learn how to stay. Even in the silence. Even in the fear. She touched his face. I want you beside me, she said. Not behind a camera. Not in a script. Just here. Every breath. Every kick. Every contraction. I will be, he said. I promise. They held each other for a long time. Later that night, Shukai recorded a video. Not for fans. Not for producers. But for their child. He sat on the nursery floor, holding the tiny shoes they had bought weeks earlier. If you're watching this one day, he said softly, I want you to know your mother is the strongest person I've ever known. And I almost lost her to fear. Not from outside. From inside. And I almost let my own fear take me away. But we stayed. And we'll keep staying. Because love is not loud. It's patient. It's showing up again and again, even when it hurts. He turned off the camera. Then walked into the bedroom. Tan was sleeping. He lay beside her and whispered, we're going to be okay. Outside, a soft drizzle began to fall. Inside, for the first time in days, they both slept peacefully. Not because everything was fixed. But because everything was real. And sometimes, real is enough.